I must confess to being rather proud of the Raine name, and we had a very good name in the industry. I'm just very lucky that I inherited, if you like, something which I adored doing. I adored the product, whether it was on the management side or the sales side, but particularly the sales side. And of course, in later years, we got into franchising. That really interested me. Well, it let a lot more people own their own businesses. I think that's the big thing. It lets people own their own business. And it's good or bad or indifferent, depending on those chiefs. We're very lucky to get some outstanding, in fact, brilliant property people.
We are really pumped. This is day 3 of Inman Connect in New York. We have had a fabulous 2 days, and I think today is going to be jam-packed. We have got a full show for you, and joining me as my co-host once again is none other than Sherrie Storor. G'day, Sherrie.
Good morning, Kevin.
You're still looking fresh.
It's a little chilly.
Yes, snow.
We actually had snow in New York. How lucky are we?
I know, and it was really driving too. Towards the end of yesterday, there's a little corridor downstairs at the Marriott where this is happening, and it's like a funnel. And the snow was actually going horizontal through there. It was cold.
It's not an experience that you get to have every single year.
Absolutely. And walking across the road, because we're staying over the road from the Marriott, this morning on the way into the studio, black ice. The first time I've ever seen it across the middle of the road. So you've got to be really careful when you walk around here. My shoes aren't made for that. My body's not made for this, I can tell you. Hey, haven't we got some tremendous guests today?
Oh, we sure do. I mean, Deborah Trappen is coming, or Trappen, I should say. Deborah Trappen is coming up, and she's a remarkable woman, all about really finding that inner moxie. And Sherrie Chris.
What's a moxie?
A moxie. Oh, we're going to talk about that in the segment. And Sherrie Chris, who of course is the CEO of Better Homes and Gardens, and talking about their global expansion.
Yeah, we've got a lot to go through too. We're going to catch up more on the local scene. Trade Me is a really big, fabulous website that's based in New Zealand.
Yes.
It is like, well, it's the website in New Zealand. Let's
That's
face
right.
it. So I'm going to catch up with Nigel from Trade Me, we hope, if we can get him across and get him out, because everyone's so involved in what's happening in Inman. There are so many locations, different levels and so on, and different speakers, so it's a real challenge to work out who you want to go and see. They do it so well though, Sherrie, don't they? They give you a rundown on what's happening for the day, and then you can book in, and the app will come and remind you when your session's coming up. So
but I think that's why Inman's so powerful, because there's, no matter where you are at the stage of your career, what it is that you're doing in the industry, there's something here for you.
Yeah. Can't wait to bring you today's show, so stick around, lots to come over the next couple of hours as we come to you from Inman Connect in New York. Back in just a moment.
The real estate business is tough, and rising costs are making it harder to thrive. Did you know you can save up to 70% on your staff costs by outsourcing the low-value, repeatable tasks, so your team can focus on growing your business? Beepo is an outsourcing provider focused on the real estate industry. With an English-speaking, tertiary qualified and fully trained team in the Philippines, Beepo will give your business the boost it needs to start growing and returning value to you. We can look after all of your low-value, repetitive administration work from our fully secure office. We provide comprehensive real estate-focused training and accreditation. The Beepo team is supervised by on-site management with finance industry standard security features. For more information, visit beepo.com.au.
Welcome back. I'm here with Dominik Pogorzelski from REST BAI, which is a really exciting company here at Inman, New York City, doing work around AI and extracting data from photographs and visuals. So welcome, Dominik. How are you? I hope I got your surname right. I'm sorry.
It was good. It was good.
I got close. So tell us about how much, well, what sort of data is sitting inside photos? Like, what more can we get out of a photo once we've got one?
I think it's a very good question, and that's, I think, one of the things that shocks me the most is that the real estate industry is sitting on millions of images.
Yes.
And as far as they know, for them it's just JPEG 1, JPEG 2, and JPEG 3.
Yeah.
They have no idea what's in these images, what are these images, and there's a treasure trove of information in those images, as you mentioned. So, you know, images can tell you things like the condition of the house, what specific features are in the house. You know, is there a kitchen island? Is there a granite countertop, or is it, you know, just a regular countertop? Is there a fireplace, a pool? So all these very enticing features about a house that users look for when they're shopping for a house.
Yeah. So I guess what we're seeing is this move away from unstructured data, which is sitting inside a photo. And when we were talking before, you called it like a black box. That photos are like black boxes.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I'm a bit of a data geek, so this idea that you have something that before has been really flat and just a thing, but suddenly we can start to pull data out of it and then use those features like kitchen bench tops or European appliances, and then start to use them as the search criteria, because that becomes part of the data feed, right?
Exactly. And I love the way you put it. It's a way of structuring unstructured data.
Yeah.
Extracting it from the images and then surfacing out to the user
Yeah.
or the broker, in order to then be able to control those images and basically regain control of their own images in order to help the home buying experience.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's, you know, imagine a scenario where you're searching for a home and you put in the criteria, I'm looking for a place in this neighborhood for this price and this square footage, and then you get the results of all your listings. And then you can take that a whole step further and add a whole visual layer to it, where you say, the user can say, well, I like to see these results by the kitchen photo.
Yeah.
Or I like to filter it by a kitchen with a kitchen island that has a granite countertop, for example.
Yeah.
And then you can really start engaging the users in a much more visual way, which is important because the home buying experience is a very emotional experience, right? And what better way to engage with humans on the emotional side than with visuals?
Visual, yeah.
You know, videos.
Because you really are going to start to search for something by what it looks like, as opposed to what it sounds like in the description, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. So, and I can't imagine ever that photos and have so much data in them, but I can't ever imagine a real estate agent on the planet who would sit down and type into it like a spreadsheet or into a data collection format all of the different bits and pieces in it. So tell us about REST BAI. How are you guys doing it?
So we've built a proprietary artificial intelligence technology that basically scans the images and then does a bunch of different things. So it can then, firstly, it can classify the image into the type of room that it is. So say this image is a kitchen, and then it can extract pertinent and relevant information from that image. So it can say that this image has a kitchen island, stainless steel appliances, dark cabinets, and a light hardwood floor, for example. So it can really go in and understand the content and the context of an image to then basically, as you said, structure that unstructured data.
But it can also start to identify what kind of condition it's in too, can't it? As in whether it's in excellent condition or poor condition or things like that, which adds like another layer over the top, because suddenly you can understand from the data, or you're suddenly starting to pull a data stream around what things might need to cost to repair, or things like renovators, and that, are you going to get a lot more stuff around that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then that can also add, as I said, a different layer. You say, well, I'm looking for a fixer-upper. I'd love to buy a house, fix it, and then flip it.
Yeah.
Well, then that has to do with the condition of the
Or I'm
house.
looking for a house, I just want to fix a kitchen. I'm okay fixing kitchens,
Exactly.
but I don't want to do bathrooms, or I don't want to have to, add a back room or things like that on. So you're using AI to do a lot of this stuff, and you guys are still fairly new, aren't you? You've been around how long now?
So the company was founded 3.5 years ago.
Yeah. So what I think is really exciting about the stuff you're doing is that you're making available to agents, like they're sitting on this really rich source of data, and in real estate it's all about, well, who owns the data. But the people who own the data are the people who can extract the data. So how do you guys work with brokerages or with franchise groups?
So it's pretty simple. So a broker or franchise group or a CRM would basically just send us the image. That image gets processed through our AI, and then we send back the metadata in a JSON format to back to the source. So we don't store the data. We don't own the images.
Right,
All that remains on the broker side.
Yeah.
We just send back the information of here's what we picked up that we think is in this image.
Wow. And so how long does it take to do all of that?
It's less than a second per image.
Wow, really?
And you can do multiple images at a time. So you can go out, go as high as 100, 200, 400 images per second.
Wow.
If you want.
And so who are you working with over here, or what kind of businesses are using you?
So we're working with MLSs, with data providers such as Tribus, for example, one of the main data providers here in the US, working with FBS, the maker of Flex MLS, with photography companies like VHD. So it's really a broad spectrum of people who have some sort of touch point with images and who want to have that data to then use it for their own purposes.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, look, Dominik, thank you so much for your time. I think that's really fascinating that we're now that we're it's like we've sort of struck a seam of gold, isn't it? That it's been
Absolutely.
under our noses all this time, and we just haven't had the tools or the resources to extract the value out of it. But now suddenly, photography, which is like an inherent part of every real estate agent's toolbox, is going to start to be an amazing source of information that really enhances sort of the experience for buyers and sellers going forward, and I guess also becomes an asset that agents are sitting on that they can now get more value out of.
Hopefully that's what we're striving for.
Yeah, great. Fantastic. Dominik, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
That was Dominik from REST BAI, extracting the value of photographs in order for agents to create like a really rich data source inside their business. Don't go away. There's a lot more coming from Inman in New York.
And here we are with the CEO of Better Homes and Gardens, Sherrie, Chris, we've been absolutely so delighted to have you here today. But you've also been a speaker on stage twice, I believe, here at the Inman conference, correct?
I have, and so it's a pleasure to sit down with my Australian namesake.
I love that, the two Sherries.
The two Sherries are talking.
Everyone thinks it's hilarious. So on stage, what did you really cover today? Give us some of what you really brought to the audience here at the conference.
Well, I had a very interesting experience on stage because I was paired up with a man who's been blind from birth.
Wow.
And so what we were talking about was that real estate is often just visual, and there's so much more to our other senses than just looking at photography, which really should be the starting point, or beautiful videos. And then as real estate professionals, we should take things to a deeper level with the consumer.
Oh, that's so beautiful and so powerful, isn't it? Because you're exactly right. We do kind of forget about those things. But real estate, it's such a personal and such an emotional journey when you're buying and selling. And sometimes we forget about that and we just see it very transactional. And I know that's something that's very important to you. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely. And so for me, I see a very big disconnect in our industry where agents are moving from one transaction to the other. In fact, a lot of us call them deals, which is not, a wonderful term to use, whereas the consumer is really looking to start the next phase of their lives. They're dreaming about the next phase of their lives. They're thinking about lifestyle, they're thinking about community, and they're not thinking about a transaction. And so what we try and train our agents to do and urge agents is to create a deeper relationship with the consumer. Find out what's inside their head and exceed their expectations by taking them through a journey. And the end of that journey is, of course, the beginning of the next journey, but the end of that journey is moving in to a new, beautiful home with their family and, just having a wonderful life.
Yeah, a next chapter in their life, so to speak.
Exactly.
So we're very lucky that we get to sort of be a part of that. And I think, that's what the Better Homes and Gardens brand is all about. It's actually about life, not just a transaction, isn't it? So
it really is, and that's one of the reasons why I was so excited to launch the Better Homes and Gardens brand 10 years ago now.
Wow.
I know, time has flown by quickly, but it's a wonderful lifestyle brand, and it really helps people, visualize and live and feel, what their lives are all about.
Yeah. So it's interesting because, as you say, a lot has happened in 10 years, but of course, the company I hear is expanding, and we saw you in Australia last year. You were sort of brought on over, and I know that the brand has been growing there, and watch out 2019, because I believe the takeover is actually here. So what is the global sort of picture for Better Homes and Gardens?
Well, we are licensed in many countries to actually sell franchises, but we do have a strategic plan, and we have a couple of countries that we're working on. We're negotiating with wonderful people right now. I can't tell you what those countries are.
I love that. You can't tell us?
I can't tell you
yet.
So I think that hopefully there'll be some announcements soon. But Australia, I couldn't be more excited about, and I just love everything that my colleagues in Australia are doing with the brand, and their advertising and social media is just so on brand, and now agents and brokers will start joining, and it's going to be a huge kickoff.
Well, we look forward to seeing that, and I think one of the big parts of Better Homes and Gardens is it's very female orientated, whether it be internally within the brand and the recruitment of people working for the company, or externally. So tell us a little bit about this.
Well, it's interesting. When we look at the magazine, about 75% of the readership are women, but 25% are men.
Okay.
And so it is a magazine that appeals to many, many people. When we look at the real estate industry here in the United States, I think it's 63% of real estate agents are female.
Wow, 63% of female of agents in the States are females.
Correct.
Wow.
And so there's a great appeal to the brand. But one of the early worries that I had, Sherrie, when I was building out the value proposition to launch Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate here, is that men wouldn't be interested in it. But the opposite was true, because what we find is that there's one family member that has more of a say in moving, and that's quite often in a family the woman.
Yeah, so she's the power broker, so to speak.
She is. And, you know, I hand out Better Homes and Gardens cookbooks a lot, and I hand just as many books out to men as women.
Well, I think that's important because we do need to really represent both genders, but I just know that that's something that's been very important. And speaking of which, and women kind of in the workforce and in the industry, I mean, particularly around the world, really, we don't have a lot of female leaders, I suppose. And, you know, what do you think we can really be doing to encourage more women into more management sort of positions within the industry?
You know, I get asked this question a lot, and my answer first and foremost is that you have to believe in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, you can accomplish anything. And I'm sure you know this, Sherrie, because you've achieved great success yourself. And so with women, you know, you need to wake up every morning and say, I can do this, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is, but, you know, exceed your own expectations and exceed your own goals. And so that is the first step, and then everything else will unfold.
Yeah, well, I think that that's super important. Step one, believe in yourself. But I also think, too, we need more role models in this industry, and one of the things that we love so much, and particularly why when you came out to Australia, was, and why we embraced you so greatly, was because we just love having more female role models. And so I think actually taking inspiration and seeing that other women have done such remarkable things and are celebrated for their skill set is super, super important. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And it was, you know, I was really overwhelmed being in Australia and the warm reception that I received there. And, you know, I want to say thank you to you because you were a part of that. But, you know, if I could talk about women for just another moment, and it's really interesting because the California Association of Realtors just launched a program for women. It's called Woman Up.
We've actually had Deborah Trapin on the show this morning.
Perfect. So she was talking about
Yes.
it. Now this is the second time. And so, you know, as we're sitting here talking, I'm thinking it would be wonderful to take Woman Up to Australia as well.
Well, this movement is happening, and as you know, I'm such a big part of that in Australia because I feel that there's actually time now to celebrate women for their skill set and to create more voices, whether you be young, old, whether you're in property management, whether you're in management, whether you're a sales agent, whether you're in support, there is room for all of us. And I think we need to celebrate, you know, and have different role models in all those different positions in the industry.
Yes.
But this Woman Up concept, which is about whether you're male or female, let's talk about being collaborative and supportive of everybody in this business and make sure there's enough voices, correct?
Absolutely, and so it really is about collaboration, and you know, I look at everyone as human beings, and you know, I get energy from both genders, and it's just you know, it's wonderful to be in this great real estate industry and to really be helping people move on to the next phase of their lives, and also to be at a conference like this,
Yeah.
which Inman Connect is, you know, it's my 21st year here.
It's your 21st. Wow,
Yes,
that's
yes.
very impressive.
And I learn something each and every time that I can take back and incorporate into, you know, what we do at Better Homes and Gardens to improve our network.
What's been the big takeaway for you from the conference so far?
You know, less technology, but more innovative thinking. And so we have to use our brains more. And, you know, one of the things I always think about when it comes to technology is technology creates efficiencies for us,
Yes.
helps us be more efficient, time management, all of that type of thing. But we need to use our brains and
Yes.
think differently when, you know, we're working with colleagues and working with the end consumer as well.
I think that's really important, and I think probably for me one of the biggest takeaways is that yes, technology is there to help us, but it's then that heart-to-heart connection that's established by us still connecting and still establishing those relationships. So let's embrace the technology, but let's make sure that what makes this so personal is actually still there and that we're still really embracing that, correct?
Exactly, exactly.
So look, I have some rapid fire questions, and look, I follow you on social media, and one of the things that I love so much about following you is that I feel that I hear your personality on social media, and quite often we have different people who post on our behalves, but when we know that we're getting a post there, we're seeing you, and I think that's really, really powerful. So talking of which, we're at a tech conference, let's make these rapid fire questions all about social and all about tech. So tell me, structure or chaos?
Oh, I'm a structure person.
Structure person,
Yes.
Wonderful. And what's your favourite Instagram filter?
My favorite Instagram filter, I just use the no filter.
I love it. it's interesting. People often say to me, you know, Sherrie, look, we're just going to, you know, Photoshop this and Photoshop that. I'm like, no, I actually want to be real and raw and authentic.
I want to be real and raw.
Yeah.
And so I've used, you know, I've tried some of them and they don't look natural.
No.
So I'm just a straight on Instagram girl.
Love it. What do you swipe up on? Is there something that captures your interest when you're scrolling through social media?
Well, you know, if we want to stay on the Instagram theme, I love fashion and design and architecture, and so, you know, those are my hashtags, my go-to hashtags when I'm sitting in an airport or have a few minutes just to, you know, look at some of that stuff. There's a few crazy sites that I shouldn't tell you about on,
well,
on
no, you
camera.
Have to. Oh, okay.
There's one site that I will tell you, and you know, I know that everyone's going to want to go and see it now, but it's called passenger shaming. And I fly a lot. I fly over 200,000 miles a year. So this site it actually was started by some flight attendants, and they put all the crazy pictures of the silly and often stupid things that people do on a plane. So there you go.
It's very entertaining.
It's somewhat entertaining.
Fantastic. So what's your favourite time-wasting app? It sounds like we've got a favourite site, but what's your favourite time-wasting app?
My favourite time-wasting app, oh boy.
To zone out.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to social again, and Facebook, Twitter, and Insta, or you know, as the millennials now say, I'm gramming it.
The gram, yeah.
Right? The gram. So I'll, see you on the gram. And you know, what I like to do on those sites is really keep in touch with my network, both personal and professional. So that's my time waster, where I can absolutely get lost in there and searching for things and connecting with people. And so, you know, one of the things that is probably somewhat unique is that I do all my own posting.
You do.
And all my own writing. And that to me makes a big difference because it's me. For a period of time, I did outsource it, and I really didn't like the result because it wasn't authentic.
Yeah, and I think that's why people love you so much, because they actually see the real you, like they feel connected to you for that particular reason. And I think that's one thing we're told constantly in real estate is to embrace social media. However, they outsource it, so it's meaningless. You may as well not do it because it's actually more damaging to your brand than including.
It really is damaging to your brand. Yes.
So tell me, Apple or Windows?
Apple.
Apple. And what's the one tech gadget that totally rocked your life, that changed your life?
My one tech gadget is my iPad, and here's the reason, is that I have everything on it. So I can text from it. I have all of my magazines through an app called Texture. So there's an app that I couldn't live without. So, a couple of hundred magazines. I love to read when I'm, in an airport on a plane. And my newspapers.
And your newspapers.
Starting with the New York Post every morning, which tells the true story of New York.
Yeah.
And so that's my first read of the morning.
I love that, and waitlist for traveling. So what's the last thing that you Googled?
Oh my gosh. Geez. I'm going to tell you what the last thing that I Googled was. I was sitting in a session and somebody was talking about time blocking. So I'm thinking, okay, well, don't we all do that?
Yeah.
And so I Googled it to see if I was missing something, and I wasn't.
You're on it. Your favorite emoji?
Oh, my favorite emoji, the green or the pink heart.
Oh, very nice. And your guilty follow? Who's somebody outside the industry that you kind of follow that intrigues you?
I can't say the word on there's a site that is called F blank 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 Sherrie. So it's actually somewhat of an advertising site, but it's also satire, and so
it's very funny.
You know it, right? So
I
didn't want to use that word, but not that I don't use it several times a day. So it's a site that really when you have nothing to do, you can go scroll and roll your eyes, and it's hilarious, right?
Well, you heard it, straight from Sherrie Chris, that you want to jump on it and follow F Jerry on Instagram. So Sherrie, thank you so much for joining us today and for giving some of your time. And over to our next session.
here at Inman Connect, there's a lot of tech, and that means there's a lot of really cool company names as well. And I'm about to chat to someone who has one of the coolest company names I've come across so far. Jeff Lobb's company, Spark Tank Media, does a lot in the speaking, training and coaching space for people in real estate and mortgage, as well as training around systems to improve productivity and sales. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And I mean it very much. Spark Tank Media, the name is really cool. Where did that come from?
So a lot of people think it came off the play of Shark Tank, which has been a very popular show, and unfortunately has nothing to do with that. We've had a growing nickname in the business world for me as Sparky, and I always wanted to have that spark or catalyst of kind of a name. We meshed it together, and Spark Tank was born.
It works perfectly for you.
Thank
I can
you.
see that.
Yeah.
So look, your company is about improving productivity, often through systems, etc. But what are the mistakes that people are making when they first come to you that you're spotting?
A lot of times, you know, when they first approach, they're either having some set of problems. Most of the times, it's either not the right activities, not consistent activities, or not the right systems to manage the activities. So sometimes it becomes a fact-finding mission to see where they went off the rails, where they want to be, and then we have to create that formula to kind of get them back on track and then hold them accountable. Yeah,
right. As we said before, you're very systems orientated. It's in the bio of the company. But you know, a company comes to you first off, if they're a startup, what are sort of the first things they really need to address in terms of systems?
Well, you know, it depends on whether it's a company or a lot of times I'm coaching teams and brokerages too. Yep. So most of the time they have issues and challenges with managing leads, lead sources. Being able to take a lead and not, if they don't convert it in the first week or two, will they convert it 9, 10, 11 months out? And a lot of times the answer is no. No systems, no discipline, no follow-up in place to make that convert down the road.
Right. One of those things that you're going to have to deal with a lot is change management.
That's right.
Now, are you finding that that's still challenging? Are people got to be dragged kicking and screaming into new moves, or how do they get to adapt to that mindset nowadays?
You know, the typical top producer mentality, and I know this because I lived in that world for a while, my mindset, we're very kind of all over the place sometimes. We're hunters, we like to go get into business, so they're not really well adapted to systems. So what we have to do is find that counterpart in their business, their team manager, their administrator, that can help keep that person functioning and yet manage those systems. Because most times the top producer mentality is not that person.
Right. The other element that you deal with is obviously promoting people and brand through some training in dealing with media. And I was thinking you're one of the most sought after speakers that I've run across.
Thank you.
Which is pretty exciting. But in your line of business, are there some people who just should never attempt to try and speak in public?
That's true, and I see them sometimes.
Can anyone be trained to do that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I took a project on several years back with that challenge in mind, where we took on, it was actually called Deliver. It was a pilot that I ran with the company where we took in 10 either C-level execs or managers or that were speakers maybe, or were out there trying it, but they wanted to elevate their, and it was a huge success. I tell you, I was very shocked what you could do in a day and a half. We literally took them from doing a live presentation for 10 minutes on their own without preparation to then making them do it in a format where we start to distract them, creating distractions, like literally when the slides go down or the microphone stops working, and we put them all through these little challenges that made them think and how to know their presentation without a slide. And then we started to do some exercises. By day 2, by the 3rd or 4th time they'd done that presentation, they were nailing it. We taught them how to walk the stage, how do you work the floor, how do you use your hands. It was amazing to see results in a day and a half, which I didn't even expect myself.
And these techniques that you've learnt yourself over all these years of public speaking, because the distraction technique is something that I know they use in acting and people with speech impediment. Is it something that really, these sorts of techniques, things that have developed?
Yeah, no, I'm self-trained. I've never been through a formal training. It's all been what has happened to me, how I either made the mistake or how I was able to get through it. And let's face it, we make a lot of mistakes, so I learned very easily how to overcome that. So it was put together based on 30 some odd years of life experience in the business.
Great teacher, isn't it? Experience is always a great teacher.
It was fun for me too. I loved making a mess of them because, you know, when you can derail somebody, you know you have intent to bring them back. Sometimes you got to break them down, to lift them back up. And they were so excited with the results on day 2 it was outstanding. So I was very shocked myself.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
The other thing is, of course, that nowadays, you know, the pace of media and profilers moves so fast, and it's quite a crowded space. How are you teaching people to really stand out, in particularly the social media space, in the idea of promoting their brand and producing productivity?
You know, I think the biggest challenge we're having is still, we use the word, but I don't think we practice it, so I hate to use the word, but we all say authenticity. You gotta be authentic.
Yeah.
And that sounds great. But people aren't practicing it, meaning, you know, they create a business page for real estate and all they're showing me are some listings or something or some articles. When in today's world, the consumer wants to really know about you, the person. Are you a grandparent? Do you have children? What do you do on weekends? And people, for some reason, are afraid to share that. That's the change in the shift, where we're watching some really good leaders right now, CEO levels of big brands, really step outside the box, doing video, posting stuff on their weekends. You know, most C-level execs in our business were always behind closed doors, unapproachable. And we're watching a few really grasp it and make a big impact of sharing the day-to-day of what happens in your world.
And how does traditional media fit into that? Because there is still that mindset that if you've got to be in the paper to get your profile up, but perhaps that's not so important anymore.
No, I think it's a lot about, you know, building that like and trust. You know, with just consistent business content, you're not building anything with me. It's almost like the definition of insanity. You keep doing that same thing over and over and you're expecting something to happen and nothing does. So we're telling people, listen, just stop doing that. Like if it's not working, no one says you have to do it, but if you're gonna do it, let's do it different in a way that either A, you get attention, or B, you get to build an audience that likes and trusts you as a person. And I think that's the hardest part of shift, coming from a very professional world into more of a very social world.
And so it's not an easy adaptation for these people to make.
No, I mean, looking at some of the average age groups in the business, a lot of that group doesn't like change. Change is very difficult. And yet, if you've been in real estate for 32 years, it's always changed. Like, our business has changed dramatically. So they say they don't like change, but yet they've lived through it.
Yeah.
So it's just getting their mindset straight.
That's right. And look, you've touched on something. Finally, we're at a tech conference, and some of the things we've seen here, some of the speakers we've had are really at the forefront of where change is going on in this space. What do you see as some of the really important developments that are occurring over the coming few years that we should keep our eye out?
Well, I think there's some things that have gotten a little static. I mean, we've heard some things coming. You know, we've been hearing AI and artificial intelligence, and that's still evolving. You know, it's finally starting to get a little bit of traction to now I understand how I would use it or how it's going to help me. So I think some of these companies are starting to bring it to life a little bit. You know, we're looking at a lot of more visual content. How do we create visual content, not just digital content? To me, the digital content is like the BlackBerry of the day, having BlackBerries. Visual, really beautiful, authentic photos and video content. So that's where the evolution's happening. I don't see anything like staggering that's changing the next year, but I think in the next 5 to 10 we'll see a big shift.
It's fascinating. I mean, we really are in a very interesting times, aren't we, Jeff?
Yeah, we're going to see some of the big Amazons and the other big players in the space get into a lot of other businesses that they're not in right now.
Yeah. Jeff, you've been generous with your time. Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. Jeff Lobb, the CEO and founder of Spark Tank Media, here at Inman Connect, New York City. We'll be back soon with more.
Your property is your biggest asset. When looking to sell, it's essential that you engage the right agent. An agent that understands people's needs and offers targeted marketing support designed to attract all buyers, so you can be confident in achieving the best possible price. And when you're a landlord looking for the ideal tenants for your rental property, you want the same proven marketing techniques to attract quality interest. Our agents know that people are spending more time online, including searching for property, making social media and online sites the most prominent showroom we have to promote your property. That's why Raine and Horne offers exclusive access to Amplify, an advanced digital advertising tool. It all begins with an understanding of your property's unique selling points, which we use to create your custom digital campaign. Amplify will create 48 unique ads highlighting the different features of your property and put them directly in front of targeted buyers on social media platforms and selected websites. Every ad directly targets potential buyers or tenants whose interests and online behaviours specifically match your property. Amplify enables you to monitor the success of your campaign from the comfort of your lounge. The easy-to-use online dashboard updates hourly, providing you with detailed insights into the performance of your campaign, including how potential buyers are reacting. The advanced technology of Amplify, plus the experience and knowledge of your local Raine and Horne agent, ensures the very best in real estate marketing, putting your property in front of the right people and ahead of the competition. Attract more buyers, get more exposure for your property, and get better results with Amplify, exclusive to Raine and Horne. Contact your local agent today or visit rh.com.au.
Hi, well, here we are, day 3, and we're rapidly getting towards the end of the Inman Connect conference in New York. So I thought it'd be nice to catch up with Kylie Davis, who's been working so hard over the last few days, catching up with so many people, going to as many sessions as she possibly could, and doing a fabulous job. Kylie, thanks for all your great work. And
thanks for having me.
It's such a buzz, and I know that we're going to come down from this.
Yes.
But you know, as we speak, it's snowing outside, so it's just a wonderful time to enjoy New York.
Yep.
So once again, thank you for all your great work, and I know we've really enjoyed having you in the show.
Thank you.
Kylie, just as an interesting point, what have you gleaned, Kylie Davis? What can you tell us?
So I think there's 4 kind of key trend or themes that have come out of the conference, and looking at sort of both the technology and the people stuff that is coming out of it, and they all start with V, happily. So the first one is voice. So we're hearing the trends around sort of voice activation, voice commands, the rise of Google Home, and how that's all, you know, how it's becoming easier to use technology, because instead of having to work out the operating system, all we have to do is speak to it.
And it's so much easier, let me tell you, from someone who can't do this.
Yeah, hallelujah. And also because all of our eyes are getting wrecked by peering into small screens, so it's great. And so that whole natural recognition. The next one is around visuals. So it's and this is like an emerging trend, but it's the rise of photography. And look, and we've known for a little while that the importance of photography. Instagram's kind of put photos and beautiful imagery on our list, but I met some guys from RestB AI, and they are basically sucking the data out of imagery, which is a really exciting thing, because until now, photos have always been a black box. So you needed a human to look at the photo to say, oh, that's a brick house, or that's a weatherboard house, or that's a kitchen with a marble bench top, or that's a kitchen with tiles and things like that. But what this new AI is doing is looking at photos and identifying the features in it, and then those features become a data stream. And so that's really exciting for agents, because for franchise groups, because what that means is all of those listing photos that you have in your library are basically an amazing source of data about the features of homes, which can start to really let us do amazing things with them. You can search by, I want to find a 4-bedroom home with a European kitchen. I don't want to know about it if it doesn't have a European kitchen. You can start to search for properties by European kitchen or open plan flow or stuff like that to date has been really patchy in how we capture stuff.
And that's a necessary step along the way to things like Rita, as an example, making Rita more intelligent. Hi Rita, I'm looking for or hi, Google or whatever, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom brick home. They can identify from the photograph the style. So it's making everything more intelligent.
And after identifying the fact that it's a feature, well, what's the condition of that feature? Is it in excellent, condition, or is it in poor condition? And there's not an agent on the planet that is ever going to sit down with a photo and start to type in the details into a spreadsheet or into a database about that kind of stuff. But the AI is basically doing it really ridiculously quickly and with enormous scale. So that's really exciting.
Voice and visual. What's next?
So after visual comes video, which hardly a trend because it's been around for so long. Except we're now at the point where you can't get away from it, and if you're not doing it by now, then you're actually starting to get into the laggard territory. You're no longer just kind of in the bell curve. So people are, using video. We're all using video to understand things more quickly, to get our, it's a great way of sharing information, and agents really need to be doing it a lot more. And then the fourth one is not a tech trend, but it's kind of the glue that brings this stuff together, which is values. And so what I think we're seeing in technology and real estate at the moment is this connecting of how we adopt technology is really connected to the people conversations that we need to have. So technology is either going to amplify our bad behaviour or enhance and enable and scale our good behaviour. And we have a choice around that, and that comes down to a lot of the time to leadership and to, you know, empathy and honesty and you know, self-awareness and emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence has been a really big theme of the conference too, around, you know, if you know yourself, then identifying the technology that you want to use and be committed and disciplined to using it properly is actually all kind of connected together.
You know what amazes me is that the 4 V's you've given us, there's nothing new. It's all old school. You look at voice.
Yeah.
You know, we've had voice forever.
Yeah.
Visual, photography. What was the other one? There was video.
Video. Yeah. Well, video's been
Video's
around.
not new. We've been banging on to
Yeah.
And values.
Yeah.
There is nothing new in there. And it's interesting that there's another V that wasn't included, and that was virtual, which is really, you know, so much of what we've been talking about, but it's not one of the outstanding features. So the thing that occurs to me is that we're getting back to some of the old ways of work. No, that's a bad phrase. No, we're getting back to some of the tried and proven ways of communication, just basic communication and setting up some values.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating conference. I think it's actually around about how do we reimagine old conversation or old ways of doing things in a new environment, and how do we take the best out of what we've always done and really scale that and do it and share it with more people so that we can, you know, grow our businesses and just improve real estate. Like, if this technology, all it does is actually make more viral the worst stuff that we do, then it's not helpful and it's not useful to us. We'll only end up, you know, disrupting ourselves faster. It's actually all about how do we do the best that we can always do and do that much more frequently and to more people.
Kylie, thank you so much. Once again, thank you for all your great work, and congratulations on what you're doing with your own business too. Going well for you?
Yeah, no, I'm having a ball. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, picking up a lot of tips here too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Kylie, thank you for being with us. Enjoy the little bit that's left of Inman Connect.
The last,
and no doubt we'll catch up back in Australia and have coffee and share some thoughts. But I think when we come down to ground, we'll realise just how much of a great experience this has been.
Yeah, and how much we've learned. I think sometimes it takes a couple of weeks to actually filter through all the things that you've picked up.
The only advice I'd give anyone coming is that make sure you come a few days early, get yourself used to the environment. Don't fly in for the conference, because believe me, it'll knock you over.
No, it will. The jet lag at 3 p.m. always does you in.
Yeah, it certainly does. Kylie, thank you. Congratulations on what you're doing, and thank you for all your work here too.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, we've been really enjoying our time working with Kylie and our other correspondents too, and bringing you all the information, all the colour, as we said we would, from Inman Connect in New York. We'll be back again in just a moment.
The real estate business is tough, and rising costs are making it harder to thrive. Did you know you can save up to 70% on your staff costs by outsourcing the low-value, repeatable tasks, so your team can focus on growing your business? Beepo is an outsourcing provider focused on the real estate industry. With an English-speaking, tertiary qualified and fully trained team in the Philippines, Beepo will give your business the boost it needs to start growing and returning value to you. We can look after all of your low-value, repetitive administration work from our fully secure office. We provide comprehensive real estate-focused training and accreditation. The Beepo team is supervised by on-site management with finance industry standard security features. For more information, visit beepo.com.au.
And right now I'm talking to Manhattan's most powerful broker. She's a powerhouse. That's correct, isn't it? Louise Phillips, Forbes. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks so much, Kevin. Great to be here.
I've really got so much to dig into, so I don't want a big intro, but $3.5 billion in sales, and that's not counting this last year. So that's a huge number. Of course, Manhattan, we expect big figures, but still that's a lot of property?
Truthfully, that's one deal at a time. You know, this will be my 30th year in the business.
30 years. What were you doing before property, before real estate?
I came to New York. I was born in Nashville, Tennessee, and I came to New York to find the lights of Broadway as a dancer. And I injured myself after about a year, just shy of a year. But I do what all New Yorkers do when they try to be a New Yorker. Is I had a million jobs, and I bartended, and I modeled, and I did industrial for dance companies. But somebody said I would be great in real estate and gave me their business card of a friend of theirs, and I went to go meet this guy, and he's like, "You want a job?" I had no idea that it was commission only, first of all. And my first year in real estate, I made $8,400. So there's hope out there for all those.
So how did that change, that first year? I mean, you obviously had a view from the outside. You'd been told what real estate was all about. Then you got into it.
Well, the truth is, I thought I was getting a job that was built around brick and mortar and architecture, but it's the business of people.
It's people.
I do people.
Yeah.
I do that very well.
Yeah. So did it take you a year to understand that?
I think that it took me a year to really own who I was and not try to be something I wasn't.
Interesting, yeah.
And, you know, I'm Southern, and we talked about that, and I find it so interesting. We're raised, my whole life I was raised to never talk about money, and the first thing I do is, "Hi, how are you? What do you want to spend? What do you do? How much you got?" It's 30 years later, it's the strangest thing I still do. But whenever I talk about money, my accent comes back because it's not comfortable for me. So for myself, I needed to figure out what made me tick, own it, and part of it was not to be a salesperson. I wanted to be an educator. I wanted to be of service. I didn't want to focus on billion-dollar deals. I wanted to be with the regular person and understand for myself that my home is really where the rest of my life is built from. And to be a part of that for somebody is really powerful.
How important is it for you to have empathy, you know, to empathise with the person you're dealing with? And do you think that's a great skill set that every broker should have?
It's interesting that you use that word because my mother used to tell me when I was a little girl I had tremendous amount of empathy. I don't have it for myself so much. That's part of the drive, which...
But do you need it for yourself?
I think so. I think, you know, I'm an overachiever. I'm a perfectionist. I'm never where I should be, and the truth is I'm fine.
Yeah, but so many overachievers, so many actors, people who are just brilliant at what they do, they have a lot of difficulty coming to terms with who they are, what they are, accepting that as a success. In other words, almost waiting to fail.
Well, I think also another little fragment of my background is that I was undiagnosed dyslexic. Until 6th grade with a 45% reading comprehension. And what is amazing about that is that my spatial memory is like Rain Man. So I'm in the right place.
Yeah, you are.
And yes, empathy, compassion, patience. There's a reason I heard somebody say on the stage, there's a reason why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Because listening skills, you know, is something that we really have to hone, and we have to exercise that muscle. And I think the compassion of it, you know, I really only cared about the right deal. And if you come from that premise, then you will attract business.
Yeah. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. 1/5 of everything we should do should be talking.
Yes.
But so often we want to dominate the conversation or direct it. But I think with empathy, you need to be really skilled at listening and understanding where the person you're talking to or trying to help is going.
Absolutely.
Or needs to
and
go.
not be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
And not, you know, and I also take this position of not, you know, every no I get is a data point, and that is how I back into what's right. I almost don't care if the piece of property that I believe, once I understand my buyers, I don't care if it's even on the market, because once I understand what makes you tick, I wait for it. I know the inventory because I've sold some of them 6 or 7 times.
In some ways, a no is very positive because it means they just want a bit more information. That's your role, to give them the information.
That's
to try and
as
help
an
them.
educator.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
if you come and everybody picks up on that salesmanship.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that I built my business 1 deal at a time. I had no Rolodex when I came here. And through just connecting and just being myself, you attract business as opposed to trying to promote it.
Yeah, you probably answered my question, but I'll ask it anyway. How do you break into the New York market? How do you break in and become one of the best brokers in Manhattan? How do you do that?
I mean, I think that I had this conversation with my son. He was like, well, why were you on stage last night? And I was like, well, I kind of have a pretty successful business in one of the most difficult markets in the country.
Yeah, in the world.
And I think that I learned early on that buyers are here today, sellers are here today, they're gone tomorrow. Our industry people are with us for the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. So generosity with knowledge, accommodating, treating your colleagues as you want to be treated, being happy when you lose a piece of business to somebody you respect. That takes the pressure off of having to be
to win
fighting
all the time.
Yeah. It's not about losing, it's just not the right time. And when I tell sellers, do you mind me asking who you chose and why you made the choice you made?
Yeah, wow.
First of all, I get feedback, and second, so I can learn from it. And second of all, it's great when I say, you know what, I love that person, and if I'm going to lose business, I'm grateful I'm losing it to that kind of individual.
So you ask the question when you lose the business, why did I lose it? Is that the question you ask? Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I don't say why did I lose. I say, tell me how you made that choice.
Okay, yes.
Because I don't want them to feel on the defense. Because to me, I think that how we leave somebody feeling is one of the most important things. In other words, like, I want that respect, and I want to give them the respect of their choice.
Brand, let's talk about that. We've got a minute or two to go.
Yeah.
Tell me about your brand. How do you create it? How do you protect it?
You know, I think that starts with every action. You know, I carry a coin around that has Latin words that says, if you go today, if you leave today, it's a momentum more. I'm clearly not Latin, but it's a momentum mori. And what that means is that if you were to leave today,
what would
you would leave? You would leave in a good spot. So every action one takes, you have no regrets. And so I think part of that, how I choose to live in the industry and in my own life, and how I treat my customers, whether they're future clients, is part of that action, and letting people know and own who you are.
I'm going to leave it there because that's the perfect spot to leave it. You are fabulous, and I've so
Next
enjoyed
time.
talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you
very much for your time. It's what a thrill talking to one of the best brokers probably in the world, arguably working in the most difficult market in the world, in Manhattan in New York. It's been my pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Stay with us. There is lots more to come. We've got some great people to talk to. Back in just a moment.
I must confess to being rather proud of the Raine name, and we had a very good name in the industry. I'm just very lucky that I inherited, if you like, something which I adored doing. I adored the product, whether it was on the management side or the sales side, but particularly the sales side. And of course, in later years, we got into franchising. That really interested me. Well, it let a lot more people own their own businesses. I think that's the big thing. It lets people own their own business. And it's good or bad or indifferent, depending on those chiefs. We're very lucky to get some outstanding, in fact, brilliant property people.
Hi once again, James Dwiggins is the Chief Executive Officer for Next Home. In 2018, James was named as a futurist by Riz Media and is ranked number 72 in the Swanepoel Top 200 Most Powerful Leaders. Congratulations and welcome to the show.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me.
What an honour. Tell me about Next Home. What is Next Home?
Yeah, so Next Home is a new real estate franchise. We came onto the scene in January 2015. A little bit of a different model, but we've grown extensively. So, you know, in the past 4 years, we've added 340 locations across 45 states in the U.S. We're about 3,000 top producing agents now across the country. We close about 17,000 transactions annually, so we're really proud of that. But we're a little bit different model because we're focused on less agent count and more about professionalism and doing more business in each local market, raising the bar. Our company's different in that we standardize our brand. We're very particular about how the brand is used in the market. We're partnered with a very prestigious firm out of New York called Pentagram, which helped design our brand identity package. And you know, we're really trying to change the game of real estate by making sure consumers truly understand what realtors provide to the business and raising that bar from the corporate level. So
a lot of that comes down to your brokers on the ground, doesn't it? I mean, your brand is represented every day by the brokers you have, and I think you said, what, over 3,000 of them?
Yeah, 3,000
How do you identify the brokers who will meet that standard that you set?
That's a great question. So, you know, one of the things that's different about our company is we're proud of the fact that we're privately held. And so for us, we're able to make decisions based upon what we feel is in the best interest of, you know, our mission and what we're trying to do in the industry itself. We have about 90 people that inquire with our company on a monthly basis, and we weighed that down to about 10 people that we actually take into the company. And it starts with culture. We spend a lot of time vetting our customer to make sure that they have the same vision as us, that they're looking at the change in the industry, that they're trying to make a positive change with the consumer, and we really kind of figure out if they have the same vision that we do. Once that happens, we do some pretty extensive background check on people. We look at their finances. Are they in a good financial position to run a real estate brokerage? We then talk to people in the market, find a little bit more about them, and go through a process to decide if they're a good fit for our company. And I think one of the things that's unique about us is because we're not beholden to any type of number of addition. We're not publicly traded. We're not held by investors. You know, we can make decisions to bring people into the company that are truly a good fit for the organization and not just a numbers game, which unfortunately our industry is somewhat known for. So,
can you describe for me your perfect, are they franchises or franchisees?
They're franchisees, yeah.
Could you describe for me your ideal franchisee in terms of age and...
Yeah. We're not, I mean, so as far as our franchisee, we have about 40% of our members are teams, agent teams that move into opening their own brokerage with our organization. Another 40% are independents. We look at small independent operations, boutique shops around the country that have, you know, 5 to 25 agents in them. Those owners are looking for growth, but they either have to capitalize the business themselves or they're looking for an alternative that's done all of that legwork, which is what we do. I mean, we're a very good package for them to enhance their business and grow it. And so that's about 80% of our business is between those two target customers. Another 20% is existing franchises that, you know, that are with another brand, but that's candidly not typically our client base. They tend to be bigger, larger agent operations, which just isn't our core interest as a company. So that's kind of how we identify, you know, who we bring into the company and what our target niche is. I almost equate us a little bit to like the Starbucks effect, where we're not about one office location with 100 agents or 200 people in it in a city. We might open up 4 or 5 locations in a city where we have an office on every 5 or 6 blocks. So that's how we gain our market share, is through smaller number of offices, or smaller people in offices, but more of them.
We're here at the Inman conference, of course, a lot of technology and discussion about marketing. Can you just tell me how you think technology has framed the way brokers and agents market themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in this business a long time. I was born into a real estate family.
You don't look it. You look very young.
Yeah, well, 38, but I still have some gray hair. So, You know, I think we are at an interesting time, especially right now with the way that technology is changing our business. And there's two camps here. There's the camp of people that want to remove the realtor from the business. They see the commission that's paid and they want a piece of that and think that that can either be passed down to the consumer, or, you know, they provide a mousetrap to provide a service that's discounted. I think that's one group. And then there's our industry. There's a portion of us that still believe the realtor is a significant part of that transaction. And where I see it coming to a head is there's a lot of tech out there through AI, you know, machine learning, all these words everybody's using. But to me, the ideal focus is how we marry the two. I think the role of a realtor has to change, and I'm not shy about it.
In what way?
Well, I think that consumers think of an agent as a small window of time that they work with an agent to buy a property. Let's say it's over 90 to 120 days, and then they never hear from the agent again. Statistically speaking, 82% of consumers say they would work with their agent again, but only 27% of them actually do. That's a huge problem. And what we look at as a company where I think technology is going to move it is the realtor is going to have to change what they do as their job. There is the part of buying or selling, but it's so much more. Like, how do we make the agent part of the process of home ownership for the 7 to 10 years that a homeowner owns that property? And I think with data, there's a lot of opportunity there. You know, knowing about when a refrigerator in the house is being recalled by GE. We're working on ways to make our agent the focal point of telling that homeowner about that problem, because we all know the homeowner isn't going to know about that. So when we look at data sets that are starting to be aggregated, when we look at how artificial intelligence can help the agent know when to reach out and when to talk to that client, this is where I think tech and you know, human behavior and human involvement can really shift the industry.
Next home, when I read up about your company, I read about a powerful communication tool. Can you tell me about that and how that helps a broker?
Which one? Any communication tool?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, we have our own CRM that we built internally, and for us that kind of goes along the lines of what I was referring to about how to make sure that the agents are talking to the customer at the right point in time. You know, and phases of that for us are, it's, you know, as an example of AI, where we know about something that's occurring on the property. For example, something we're working on is if the roof warranty is going to expire, our system's going to reach out directly to the homeowner and let them know about that. It's going to know that the cost to repair that roof is about 30% less in the summertime than in the winter. It's going to tell the homeowner from the agent, and then also let the agent know simultaneously to reach out to that customer and have that conversation. So kind of tying the communication and where artificial intelligence is moving, we think that there's a great pathway to have that agent be the focal point of that conversation, but also providing value directly to that specific homeowner in that example.
Thank you for your time, James.
Yeah.
It's been great talking to you.
Absolutely.
James Dwiggins has been my guest. James is from Next Home. Stay with us, more to come.
So here I am with Lindsay Listanski, and she's Head of National Marketing for Climb Real Estate, this amazing, most innovative agency that's doing unbelievable things for millennials. And Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me,
Inman.
Sherrie. This is great.
So look, we've been talking a little bit about what your role is off camera, and so I'm really keen to kind of bring that into the interview today. So why don't you give us a bit about your background before talking about what it is that you're doing today?
Sure. So I am a real estate junkie. I grew up in real estate my entire life, and I've been blessed to marry my love of marketing with real estate. So that's really awesome. I've been part of the Realogy family for almost 8 years. I was with Coldwell Banker for 7 amazing years, and I recently transitioned as head of marketing for Climb. So it's super exciting.
Awesome. So I love this idea and this notion about being a real estate junkie.
Yes.
So, and it kind of sounds like it was in your blood, but you were
totally
around it all the time because your family was also in real estate,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about Climb.
Climb is amazing. Climb is the newest opportunity for Realogy to launch a franchise business. So Climb and Corcoran actually are poised to expand nationally this year. Climb was founded in 2010 by Chris Lim, who was an agent and saw an opportunity to really not disrupt, but just change the industry. It was really this idea of let's build something for agents by agents. And it really quickly grew in San Francisco in the Bay Area, was recognized by Inman actually as one of the most innovative brokerages. In 2016, it caught the attention of NRT and they acquired them. Fast forward 2 years and we're just preparing for national launch.
Which is super exciting.
Yeah.
So tell us about, we were just mentioning off camera Airstream, so tell us a bit about what you're doing in that space.
Sure, so Climb, like I said, is one of those most innovative brokerages, and one of the things that I love about the Climb team is we're really always looking to draw inspiration from the world around us, whether that's through entertainment, food, fashion. So in this case, Chris Lim was really inspired by the food truck craze, and he was seeing these food trucks pop up all over the place, and tacos and burgers, and he said, how can I bring in this craze into the real estate industry? So Climb has always been about mobility. We're building a mobile-first brand, and he looked into getting an Airstream, and the Airstream became the staple around the Bay Area within the community where they were rolling around and having clients jump on and learn about Climb. The Airstream went to Burning Man in Coachella, which is yes, it was there.
For those that don't know what an Airstream is, tell people what.
It's a little mobile. It's this beautiful chrome mobile. It's almost like a mini trailer, but it's so much cooler than that. So they checked it out and they brought it around, and it became this icon of Climb real estate.
So that is super unbelievably cool. But the brand is really growing in leaps and bounds. And,
yes.
And there's now how many agents in the business?
Roughly 200.
Yeah. So, and I guess it's quite well known for also having this millennial approach, but it's not all about millennials, is it?
Yeah, there's definitely a younger draw to this brand. I think they were born in San Francisco, raised in Silicon Valley. So there's this tech vibe. You often associate millennials with technology, but we're really getting away from talking about millennials and focus on the idea of the connected generation. So it's not about an age; it's really about a mindset, and that's the business that we're building around this connected generation.
Yeah. And I think, that's really powerful because realistically, I think millennials have had this horrible tagline of being sort of on the outer, so to speak. But really, we've got to embrace them because they're going to really be taking over this industry.
100%.
And so if we're not totally on board, then we're out, right?
I love that you say that because I think both on the B2B and B2C side, millennials have had a hard time breaking into the industry. I think from an agent perspective, some brokerages don't want the first-time agent. It's very hard to coach them up, and I think that Climb is definitely poised to have those career changers, first-time agents. And I think they have a wonderful mentorship program that welcomes them in. And then conversely, on the consumer side, a lot of people don't want to work with millennials because they're renters, right? And they're not really that valuable yet. But what I love about Climb is 20% of the business they do in the Bay Area is actually with renters. So we're welcoming these renters into our business. We're creating this fierce loyalty. And I think that that's going to serve us really well in the long term.
But I think also what we've been seeing about millennials is, yes, they might be renting, but they still also own a lot of property. So,
yes.
However, that's just their choice to actually have that on the side.
Absolutely.
So they're very savvy with investments.
Absolutely.
And I think the stats with millennials, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they actually change houses and homes every 6 years. So you're actually, as opposed to the typical sort of, I guess, older generation where they actually transact every 10 years.
Right.
So it makes more sense from an industry point of view to really embrace millennials in our marketplace as opposed to kind of push back against it. So we need to be embracing that and working with them.
Absolutely.
So, and the best way to do that is work with them, right?
Absolutely. You are on it.
So there is something else that I wanted to talk to you about, and that is, you know, you yourself, Lindsay. I mean, you obviously have done some really remarkable, amazing things in this industry.
Thank you.
And, you know, hence you were actually awarded, you know, in the top 20 of, was it Stephen Swampoole's?
Stefan Swampole,
Oh, Stephen Swampoole's most influential mover and shakers in PR and news. So tell us about that and what that accolade meant to you.
Yeah, so you know, we talk about these influencers, right? And it's such an overused word. And I was very honored to be on Stefan Swampoole's social influencers list. But I think it speaks to this, again, idea of connected generation. I think being at conferences like this and being part of the Realogy family, I've been afforded the opportunity to make friends around the world, really. And I think that that's been instrumental because it's been possible because of social media. I think social media in this digital world that we're living in, if you know how to leverage it the right way and you are generous with your expertise and your content and you don't make it about yourself, I think that it positions you to really be someone that can help others. And I've seen not only my relationships, but everybody that I've really met at these conferences really benefit from this digital world we're living in. Now, it's also really important to do the IRL in real life connections, right? When you get to these conferences, you can't hide behind your phone anymore. So it's really important that your profile picture actually looks like you. But I think that it's transcended the way that we do business. And I think that Climb Real Estate's really gonna to leverage the digital world that we live in and make sure that anywhere that we can automate business and bring it online and make things easier, we will, but we'll still have those really awesome offices where people can go in and still, connect with their manager and their agents as well.
Yeah, okay. So look, there is something I want to talk to you about, and that is now we're seeing the rise of the celebrity agent, right?
Yes.
And this is the first time really in the history of real estate that this has actually been able to, agents have been able to have a higher profile than the brands or the agencies that they're working for. So what are you really doing to work with this and to really change the mentality of, I guess, management and in brokerages to enhance and grow the business by this celebrity rise?
I think that's really interesting that you asked that. So a few things. One, Climb, we're not really positioning ourselves, are we a brand? Absolutely, but we're really looking at ourselves as a platform. And I think you're going to see that in the next couple of months with the branding that comes out and the marketing that we release, and that we're taking a step back and saying, is brand important? Yes, but at the end of the day, it's the agent that's more important. Whether you're influential or not, we want to allow them to raise up on our shoulders so that we can support them. But you're right, there are these mega super influencers on Instagram, and leveraging their reach is really important, and making sure that we're serving them in any way that we can is important. I think one of the ways that we'll be leveraging those influencers will be through our learning and training programs. So we'll really be looking to these influencers to give them an even higher national platform to really take their expertise, be generous, whether it's through social or another platform, but we're looking at them more closely, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you think agents can really build their profile and become these celebrity agents?
One is, I think it takes time. So I think the easy way is you pay a service and you pay for likes and engagement. I think that's really the wrong way to do it. So I think you need to see the long game. I think that you need to really put yourself out there, not in a way that's all about yourself, but about your community. One of the things that I love about Climb is we're so embedded into our communities, and I think that's an instant way to grow. So I think thinking hyper-local if you're an agent, and then eventually getting to that long national game is a really good way to do it.
Okay, that's wonderful and so super powerful. Well, look, I wanted to run through some rapid fire questions, and
let's do it.
We're at a tech conference, so let's really talk a little bit about tech. But first of all, I have to know: are you a structure or a chaotic kind of girl?
I'm structure.
Structure.
I must be structured. Yes.
That doesn't surprise me, actually. What's your favorite Instagram filter?
Oh, filter. Can I say hashtag no filter?
Yes, I love that. And it's surprising how many people that I've interviewed and asked this question today have actually said that, because they want the real and the rawness and the authentic.
Yeah, I don't think people need to see me as a cat, a dog, whatever extra Kylie Jenner lipstick filter. I'm comfortable in my own skin.
Very important. What intrigues you? What makes you want to swipe up?
Swipe up. I think I love stats, and I love learning about the industry. So anytime I can see anything about millennials in housing, I think that's something that gets me to swipe up. I love that.
Okay. And your favorite time wasting app?
Oh, Instagram. I put a filter where it says, okay, you've been on for 20 minutes a day, and I dismiss it. I'm
20 minutes is not very long in today's
No,
world.
I waste a long time on Instagram.
Are you Apple or Windows?
Windows.
Windows, okay. What's the one tech gadget that promised to change your world but didn't?
Oh, that's a good question. Promised to change my world, a tech gadget. I think, you know what, like wireless mouses and keyboards, I can't get on that. Like,
oh, really?
You know, the kind that you bring to conferences and stuff, like I need to sit down with my laptop at a desk. Like, I don't know, I think it's a silly answer, but like I need to be attached. I love my laptop. I bring it everywhere with me.
And what's the one tech gadget that did change your world?
I mean, can I say my phone? I would rather lose anything else, maybe than like, you know, my phone is my everything. And especially now with Apple Pay, I used to say, oh, I don't want to lose my wallet, but if I lose my wallet, I'm basically just losing a wallet at this point. Everything is on my phone. So.
It's way more important.
Yeah.
What's the last thing that you Googled?
The last thing, probably the weather, because it's freezing here today. It's like -10 outside.
I know, it's crazy. What's your favorite emoji?
The blow a kiss.
A blow kiss? Okay. And your guilty follow, so somebody outside of the industry that you love following?
Oh, that's a great question. Who do I love to follow? That is such a good question.
Don't tell me everything that's on your apps are all real estate.
God, no, but there's so many. I mean, I can't even think of someone. Like, you shocked me with this question because I have so many.
It's interesting. Some of the people that I love following are more like, you know, quite high-profile business people and scientists. And one American that really inspires me is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because I love that she's been a judge and that she's basically stood up for female rights when really there wasn't any, and she's become this crazy cult icon here in the
I love that.
States.
You know what? I've been following a lot of like female podcasts lately, and it's not so much celebrities, but all these different like women up groups. So I think I would say all the different women up podcasts, and I've really been getting into that. That's been like when I do go on Instagram, that's the rabbit hole that I go down into.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been really nice to get to know you a little bit better and to hear a lot more about Climb and your views and thoughts. So, Lindsay, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sherrie.
And over and out, please continue watching because we've got a fantastic new segment coming up soon.
Your property is your biggest asset. When looking to sell, it's essential that you engage the right agent. An agent that understands people's needs and offers targeted marketing support designed to attract all buyers, so you can be confident in achieving the best possible price. And when you're a landlord looking for the ideal tenants for your rental property, you want the same proven marketing techniques to attract quality interest. Our agents know that people are spending more time online, including searching for property, making social media and online sites the most prominent showroom we have to promote your property. That's why Raine and Horne offers exclusive access to Amplify, an advanced digital advertising tool. It all begins with an understanding of your property's unique selling points, which we use to create your custom digital campaign. Amplify will create 48 unique ads highlighting the different features of your property and put them directly in front of targeted buyers on social media platforms and selected websites. Every ad directly targets potential buyers or tenants whose interests and online behaviours specifically match your property. Amplify enables you to monitor the success of your campaign from the comfort of your lounge. The easy-to-use online dashboard updates hourly, providing you with detailed insights into the performance of your campaign, including how potential buyers are reacting. The advanced technology of Amplify, plus the experience and knowledge of your local Raine and Horne agent, ensures the very best in real estate marketing, putting your property in front of the right people and ahead of the competition. Attract more buyers, get more exposure for your property, and get better results with Amplify, exclusive to Raine and Horne. Contact your local agent today or visit rh.com.au.
I'm here with Natalia from Propi, a new blockchain business that is completely revolutionising how we transact in real estate. Natalia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So Natalia, let's talk about the difference between blockchain and Bitcoin? Because they're not the same thing, are they?
Yeah, absolutely. We have very often this confusion between the blockchain and Bitcoin. So there are cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. These are virtual currencies like dollars, and you can pay for real estate or any other goods with those currencies.
Yeah.
And the blockchain is the ledger, it's database that is being distributed, and it's immutable. It provides transparency. So Bitcoin and Ethereum, they run on their own blockchains, and this is why they're secure. So in my company, we use the blockchain technology on our back end to make our products transparent and immutable.
So what Proppy does, that is really about completely changing the way that we can transact property and making that faster and be done in a couple of days even.
Yes.
Like, just run us through how the platform works.
Yeah, that's true. We are preparing for the new wave of consumers such as millennials, and they don't like to go to banks.
Yeah.
They want to make few clicks and to buy any good they could online. Yeah. And you know, the home buying process and interest is declining, especially with younger generations. So at Proppy, we are automating the purchase process. We're making it possible to buy it as easy as buying book online on Amazon. So sometimes we're named as Amazon for real estate because with our transaction platform, the buyer can sign the purchase agreement online electronically, can communicate with the buyer or with the buyer's agent, with the seller agent, and with the title company. Then we provide the payment instruction, and the consumer, the end user, receives the evidence of the deal, which is the title deed.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's something that just millennials want to do. I think anyone who transacts real estate, it's like 1984 called, and they want their process back because it's so slow and laborious.
Yeah.
And it's quite fraught with danger too, isn't it? So at the moment, I know that there's a lot of scamming that goes on around, deposits and trying to capture that information. How does your platform help with that?
The wire fraud and title fraud is evolving.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years.
They're getting very clever, those scammers, aren't they? Yeah.
Absolutely. And the hacking process is super easy because for now we're using the oldest protocol ever, email. It's not secure.
Yeah.
So we're seeing over $1 billion solely in the US of wire fraud problem. So with our system, we avoid sending the documents via emails.
Yeah.
So the payment instruction is being sent via our transaction platform, so the buyer logins and see the payment instruction there, or which we recommend, they just put their own bank account in our system, and we initiate the transfer of the funds from the consumer bank account to the escrow company, and we verify who is the recipient. We double check that that's the right bank account.
Yeah.
And also it's the payment facility that we have, it's really not only faster but also cheaper for cross-border payments.
Yeah.
So let's say if you want to buy property and you live in London, you have pounds, you buy property here in New York, you transfer pounds from your bank account, and we do the exchange and transfer within hours.
So that's one of the really cool things about blockchain, isn't it? That it breaks the transaction down into lots and lots of little pieces or packets of data, and then puts it all back together at the other end, so that that's all scrambled, I guess, in the meantime, so that it can't be hacked.
Yes.
But part of that means too that you don't need to be dealing dollar to dollar or pound to pound. You can actually, as part of that, you can translate the money as part of the transaction rather than having to do it in a traditional way.
Yeah, so let me explain a little bit how we use blockchain in the transaction process. So when the user is receiving their purchase agreement, the offer to sign, we store this purchase agreement signed, then we hash it and put the hash of the document onto the blockchain. So if something happens in the future and there are any claims in courts, this record on the blockchain serves as an evidence in courts, and it's recognized by many governments as an evidence in courts. And the title deed as well, once you have the ownership transfer, the title deed recorded on the blockchain, and if something happens with the county fireplace. Many counties are still using paper. They don't use computers to store records of the ownership. If something happens like natural disasters or hacking attacks, then our users can always bring to the county the evidence recorded on the blockchain, which is immutable. So that's the main feature of our transaction platform, to preserve the time stamping of every step of the transaction.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why blockchain is so secure, I guess, because it does break it down.
It's never been hacked. Bitcoin, there are Bitcoin blockchain, Ethereum blockchain, these are the oldest and most proven ones. Sometimes people even here in the conference yesterday, or we had one broker saying, hey, I've heard the blockchain was hacked yesterday. That's not true. There've been some smart contracts hacked, or exchanges where people keep their cryptocurrencies, but blockchain itself, like Bitcoin blockchain and Ethereum blockchain, never. And that's the reason blockchain to exist, the consensus mechanism.
So what you're proposing is like, and what you're doing is like this really radical new way of transacting real estate that is going to make it more secure and faster and more transparent for people to buy and sell properties, and then have like a really long paper chain of all of the evidence of the different steps of that transaction. So how long have you guys been around for?
We've been around since 2016.
So that's not very long yet.
And last year finally we released our product, the transaction platform. We did the first ever transaction on blockchain in real estate in the world, then the first one in the US, the first one in the European Union. So now we're onboarding many brokerages that will use the transaction platform for each of their deals. And this is especially critical for cloud-based or virtual brokerages, because the only way to oversee and audit the paperwork of agents is actually to introduce a transaction platform.
Okay, cool. And so you did 5 transactions in last year in your sort of first year with the platform launched.
How 12 last year.
12 last year, I'm sorry.
Yeah, currently we're closing 5 more.
5 more in
and
January,
we have several
so that's
agreements with agents that are bringing us 500 and 1,000 transactions annually per agency.
So this is very new technology, very exciting technology that obviously has a long way to go and a lot of people to adopt it. What are the things that you're finding that people are saying that they're What do they have any resistance to it, or are they scared of it, or what are you
the
hearing?
resistance 2 years ago was tremendous. It was so hard to make the first transaction. The first one happened in the end of 2017, which was like kind of trial. The product was still not the one we have today. It was with Michael Arrington, the founder of TechCrunch. He acquired a property in Ukraine, and we had an MOU with the government, with the Ministry of Justice, in order for this to happen. Then the first transaction in the US happened in Vermont, where we had a pilot project also signed with the governmental agencies. So, because many agents were asking, is it legal at all to make a transaction on a blockchain? And once we made those first steps, it got much easier.
Much easier, cool. So now you've now moved to Silicon Valley, and you have got investment that shows that there's a lot of belief in what you're doing. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Or
sure. So we've initially raised money from angel investors, and then we made a token sale. So total we raised $15 million.
Wow.
And we're very blessed with our investors that are helping us a lot to achieve adoption, as well as to our advisors. Our first advisor here in the US was Alan Pinnell himself. And we have amazing feedback from CEOs of the leading brokerages here in the US. In UK as well, like Knight Frank, Savills, Jones Lang LaSalle. What we're hearing from those CEOs is that they don't want to hire more brokers to grow. They want software to help agents to do more transactions more efficiently, and this is how it will help the company to grow and also to remain with the best agents. On the other hand, agents also, they are so competitive. There is a huge competition within brokers, so they need to be educated on technology. They have to use the newest technology. And right now, when you want to sell a house, agents have to use about 10 different tools. So what we offer is that log in into Proppy, close the deal there, and you don't have to log in separately to DocuSign, separately to Zip form, separately for working with title companies.
The whole workflow.
Yeah, we have all those tools integrated in one platform.
Fantastic. Natalia, thank you so much for your time. It's been fascinating finding out about Proppy and how blockchain is going to really revolutionize real estate and how we transact. That sounds fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. That was Natalia from Proppy talking about blockchain and how it's really going to change the way that we transact. Really well funded, very exciting new technology, but amazing upside. So it's time to start getting your brain around what blockchain looks like in real estate. Don't go away, we've got a lot more from Inman Connect in New York.
The real estate business is tough, and rising costs are making it harder to thrive. Did you know you can save up to 70% on your staff costs by outsourcing the low-value, repeatable tasks, so your team can focus on growing your business? Beepo is an outsourcing provider focused on the real estate industry. With an English-speaking, tertiary qualified and fully trained team in the Philippines, Beepo will give your business the boost it needs to start growing and returning value to you. We can look after all of your low-value, repetitive administration work from our fully secure office. We provide comprehensive real estate-focused training and accreditation. The Beepo team is supervised by on-site management with finance industry standard security features. For more information, visit beepo.com.au.
I am just thrilled to have our next guest come along today because Compass is a big brand over here in the US, but of course we're an international audience and there's a lot to learn. Bill Fowler is the Senior Director of Industry Relations at Compass. He's a strategic marketer and an analyst, and he's here with us now. Bill, thanks for joining us.
Of course, no, thank you for having me.
Really thrilled to have you here. Bill, look, Compass is almost enigmatic outside of the US, but it's become so important so quickly here. Tell me a little bit about its inception and why it's a little bit different from your regular brokerage.
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Take your time with it too.
So the inception really was built around a really easy and simple idea, which is the real estate agent has been a sole proprietor of their own business. Every real estate agent in the U.S. is kind of seen as their own business, their own brand. So they're responsible for a range of business skills. It takes a lot to maintain a real estate business, mainly because the agent is really on their own. They work for a broker, but that broker traditionally has treated them as an independent contractor. So they've got to be an expert marketer, to be very good with communication, have to be a deal maker, a negotiator, a financial analyst, a data analyst, and very few agents are good at all of those things. And so there's a struggle with the average agent in any of those areas. So what Compass has done and wants to continue to do is to treat the agent not only as a business and to hold them up as an entrepreneur, but give them all those tools so that if they're not a marketing expert, they have this platform, this thing they can call on, to create the skill that may not have naturally.
It's got a little bit of a punk rock ethic to me, I think, so give people the tools and let them create.
Well, and the interesting about this industry, there's a room full of tools here, and most of them I'm sure are great, but Compass has taken the approach that we can build it all in-house and custom build it to the person that fits us culturally, and from a business model standpoint, we only recruit and maintain really certain kinds of agents, the full-time, the ultra-professional, we call them rock stars, and so these tools are going to be great for a wide range of people. What Compass really has done and wants to continue doing is creating the sharpest tools in the toolbox, just the most expert level kinds of applications and for their agents. Yeah.
Great imagery. And Compass, the brand itself, is just synonymous with tech. It seems to have been born of that sort of environment. How are you adapting technology in really interesting and new ways to help these people?
Yeah, well, it's not easy. I come from a background, a software company background that built tools just like here, MLS software. And you really do, as I mentioned before, you have to be all things to all people. A real estate agent really needs that marketing platform. They need a data analysis platform. And to do all that, even 5 years ago, was nearly impossible given the amount of talent you had to recruit, given just the raw cost. Data platforms themselves didn't speak to each other, and that's a whole different subject. MLS data and real estate data from all over the country, having to put it into one box so it's valuable to at a market level. There are so many different languages that you have to speak per se to get all that in one place. In 2018-19, it's gotten a lot simpler, and Compass has been able to recruit some really incredible talent that I think probably wouldn't have wanted anything to do with real estate not too long ago. The Ubers, the Twitters, the Amazons, those kinds of companies, Google and the like, were recruiting the top technical talent in the country, and now real estate suddenly has opened up. Zillow is a good example, Redfin is a good example, Compass obviously is a good example of companies that have really been able to pull in that level of talent. And I tell you, that's probably the most important aspect. It wasn't that the technical difficulties aren't important. Just getting the people that the young talent that want to do that work in real estate has been quite a victory.
It's made real estate really exciting again in many ways. The old image back in Australia was of the old fella in the short sleeve shirt and tie. And
sure, yes.
But real estate has become almost one of those dynamic industries.
Well, the fact that there's tons and tons of money to be made, I'm sure has a lot to do with that. But the average real estate agent, I think you're exactly right. There's surveys that go around these magazines and so on that do surveys about the least respected and most respected professions in the country, and the real estate agent's always been toward the bottom, next to like used car salesman and attorney, and it's an old joke. Yeah. But now, and you can just look around this room, the average age of the agent may still be hovering close to retirement age, but the new agent is going to be in their late 20s, early 30s. It's a real profession now, and a start-off profession. I think traditionally, real estate has been one of those secondary professions. Once you're finished with your primary career, you can still make money doing this on the side with real estate. I honestly think that's going away. I think real estate is becoming HGTV and these TV shows that are showing these rock star agents that are making lots and lots of money because they're very good. That's becoming, I guess, the tip of the spear in the industry for young talent.
I also want to touch on Compass as a brand, because what you've done here in the US is very impressive. It's really elevated itself very quickly to become one of the iconic real estate brands. So how have you managed to do that? It feels quite quick to me. Mind you, I live outside the country, but how have you been able to raise its profile and its brand so quickly?
Without sounding like a complete sycophant here.
You can, though.
Our CEO, Robert Reffkin, I think that in a very, everyone compares themselves to Apple. I think you like to do that, But Steve Jobs was the Apple brand. The Apple brand was Steve Jobs. We don't have a lot of spokespeople in our company. There are not marketing voices and PR people that are hired to tell the Compass story. It's very rare that I'm here doing this because I'm usually B2B kind of conversations. Robert is the voice of the company, and his personality really shines through, and because he's young, he's dynamic, he's come from a background that makes him really an expert in finance and an expert and very respected within the real estate community. His personality just shines through. I mean, I wish I could put it in a more succinct way, but really it's the personality of his company, much like Steve Jobs with Apple, much like the Tesla guy that I blanked on.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
A little bit more than that lately. Elon's, going off the rails somewhat.
I know where you're going.
Right. But Robert's at these conferences. He's always at the front of our brand, and I think that's That's been a very important thing, to consolidate that into his personality, and his personality really trickles down through the whole team.
Fantastic. I was chatting with my producer Joel earlier,
Yeah.
and he was saying even when you talk about those things like the parallels to Apple, he's even talking about the way that you do signage on properties with Bluetooth signage.
Right, right.
Those sorts of interesting tools. I mean, is there a department that is looking at creating new and exciting ways of marketing and selling properties?
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, there's Apple has their, like, you know, skunkworks department, you know, where no one can come in and out without a, you know, retina reader or whatever. But I would say that there is a technological aspect of that at Compass, that we're always trying to think differently about what we can do to change the market. But even someone like myself, I'm trying to think of different ways to do what has been done more efficiently, better, and I think that's a company-wide kind of approach. I'm not going to paint this as a utopian corporate experience, because, you know, we have our problems just like everyone else.
Is there ping pong tables and beanbag rooms?
Of course, yeah, we got all that millennial,
right,
you know, snack walls and so on. But in general, I think Compass carries this attitude of, yes, we're a broker. Yes, the business model is very similar, if not identical, to the way it's been done for the most of the history of real estate. But it's just the style in which it's done, and just a different attitude, a different way of looking at the way things have always been done. And the sign is a great example. Like, if you're gonna, how do you revolutionize a sign?
Yeah.
If you could do anything to it to make it better, a better consumer experience, what would you do? And so a year ago, someone on a whiteboard just filled it up with, how could we improve on that one thing? And I would say, as a company, we do that with a lot of things. How can we improve on what has been seen as a given 4 years?
Bill, I could talk to you all afternoon, but I'm not allowed to. I've been getting the wind up. It's been fascinating. I'm really thrilled that Compass is a company that's at the forefront of this, and there's some great minds working on it, and that you're heading up a big part of that.
Well, I hope so.
I appreciate it very much. Bill
Thank you
Fowler.
so much.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. That was Bill Fowler.
He's
the Senior Director of Industry Relations at Compass. One of my favourite chats of the conference so far, but don't tell anyone else. We'll be back with more later.
I must confess to being rather proud of the Raine name, and we had a very good name in the industry. I'm just very lucky that I inherited, if you like, something which I adored doing. I adored the product, whether it was on the management side or the sales side, but particularly the sales side. And of course, in later years, we got into franchising. That really interested me. Well, it let a lot more people own their own businesses. I think that's the big thing. It lets people own their own business. And it's good or bad or indifferent, depending on those chiefs. We're very lucky to get some outstanding, in fact, brilliant property people.
Well, as I say, every good thing must come to an end. This is day 3 at Inman Connect in New York, and it's time for us to wrap our shows up. We've had a great time Aimee, haven't we? Just putting the shows together.
It's been so much fun.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a little bit of hard work.
A lot of hard work. A lot. Well, yeah, you too. But we've had a lot of fun. Angus Raine is with us as well. Angus, thanks also to you for your support in helping make all this possible. Of course, Raine and Horne, one of our major sponsors, and of course our Beepo outsourcing as well. Thanks, guys. Over to you, because I'm really keen to hear from you. What are your takeaways at the end of the Inman conference?
Well, look, I'll kick off with the insight on marketing, because that's a topic I love chatting about. And really, that social media theme is coming through very thick and strong. We had the marketing sessions today. Video, all about video, but being authentic. So not putting up a lot of content about, product listings, but to be really authentic and carry through that, that care and also that education theme in everything that's being done in video. So yeah, I saw that repeating a lot.
Angus, because you're at the cutting edge, your organisation is the cutting edge of technology and bringing it to agents. I find a constant frustration picking up on what Aimee just said about video. Why more agents don't use it. It's the best form of communication.
Well, we've been using video for years and encouraging our agents, but still some people have this reluctance to do it. You just have to embrace it. Not everyone's comfortable in front of the camera, probably me included, Kevin, but you just have to embrace it. It's where the industry's going. Yeah. And also, I agree with Aimee. This industry is getting more and more ego-driven, and one of the speakers said, you've got to dial down your ego. The consumers don't want to see you in front of your new European car. Consumers want information. They don't want to see you winning heaps of awards in the paper. They want information about what is happening in their particular marketplace. And I think we lose that. We have this ego-driven industry. You're really confirming what most of the public think of real estate.
Well, picking up on that point too, and then coupling that with video, you've got to be very careful about the content you put in the video. It's got to be giving content out, giving something, some information. It's not about me and how great I am, I've just sold a house. They don't want to know that.
And the video is spot on, Kevin. A video is not a virtual walkthrough. A video is one or two salient points. It's a hook to get the consumer interested. It could be the seller, could be the big pool, the outdoor living areas. That one hook to get them to look further into the property. It's not a walkthrough.
Of course, Angus, and I'll stay with you just for a moment, but the American market, we've looked at it for quite a long time and thought that everything great comes out of America. But there's a lot of good stuff that we do in Australia that's not happening here.
Yeah, well, in Australia and New Zealand, I think we lead, dare I give a Kiwi a compliment, but really I mean that.
Yes.
I think we lead the world in brokerage, and we also have a very high consumer education. Our consumers demand. We have also a very high and sophisticated financial service industry, and these are all interconnected. So in many ways, it's sort of a dichotomy with American agents talking about things that we were talking about quite a few years ago, and then agents in America are ahead of us in some areas. I think it's all about data, as they call it in America, data in Australia, but that's certainly been a big theme, and that's been a theme the industry's been talking about for 15 years. The trouble is most agents don't realise the power of their database and the power of AI, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and the predictive analytics.
Yeah, and you're in the pretty seat, I reckon, Aimee, because outsourcing has just been, one of the words. Every time we talk about outsourcing here, they really get it. And I just think outsourcing in the next, 5, 6, 10 years, it's just going to be phenomenal, the growth in that industry.
Yeah, I agree, and I do think it'll change and morph, because what we're seeing some elements of technology and automation taking up some tasks that might have been done, offshore or by administration assistants even locally. And so the role of someone who's looking after those tasks is going to change. So one of the things that we're doing is making sure that we upskill our staff to use the latest technology. So, staff in our business at Beepo are using AI technology, and they're combining that, and then they're assisting agents and businesses to have the access to the data, have access to the intelligence, and push that back when needed and follow that up. So very exciting time.
Yeah, guys, it's a wrap. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you to both of you for your support and being here with us. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've certainly enjoyed having your company, and we've spoken to some great people, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
And thank you to you too. Just in closing, I just want to say thank you to Raine and Horne, also to Beepo Outsourcing, to Coicio, and to Rockend, our good friends at Rockend, for supporting us in these broadcasts. We wouldn't be able to do them if it wasn't for their support. And thanks to you for watching. A little bit of an insight for you. We've done so many interviews and got so much great content here that we're going to probably produce another 1 or 2 shows as some of our, not so much outtakes, but some of the interviews that we just couldn't get into the show, but they're so great. So they'll come to you in the next few days, so watch out for those as well. Thanks to all of our production crew who have joined us, who had a great crowd come from Australia and from different parts of America and Canada as well. So to all of our team, all of our crew here, thank you guys for all of your help. I want to say a special thank you to Tracy as well. Tracy has been phenomenal in putting all this together and working with us so hard over the last couple of months to put all this together. So Tracy, thank you to you and to all the team. It's been great bringing all this to you. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. Watch out for more from Property TV. Thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
The real estate business is tough, and rising costs are making it harder to thrive. Did you know you can save up to 70% on your staff costs by outsourcing the low-value, repeatable tasks, so your team can focus on growing your business? Beepo is an outsourcing provider focused on the real estate industry. With an English-speaking, tertiary qualified and fully trained team in the Philippines, Beepo will give your business the boost it needs to start growing and returning value to you. We can look after all of your low-value, repetitive administration work from our fully secure office. We provide comprehensive real estate-focused training and accreditation. The Beepo team is supervised by on-site management with finance industry standard security features. For more information, visit beepo.com.au.
Your property is your biggest asset. When looking to sell, it's essential that you engage the right agent. An agent that understands people's needs and offers targeted marketing support designed to attract all buyers, so you can be confident in achieving the best possible price. And when you're a landlord looking for the ideal tenants for your rental property, you want the same proven marketing techniques to attract quality interest. Our agents know that people are spending more time online, including searching for property, making social media and online sites the most prominent showroom we have to promote your property. That's why Raine and Horne offers exclusive access to Amplify, an advanced digital advertising tool. It all begins with an understanding of your property's unique selling points, which we use to create your custom digital campaign. Amplify will create 48 unique ads highlighting the different features of your property and put them directly in front of targeted buyers on social media platforms and selected websites. Every ad directly targets potential buyers or tenants whose interests and online behaviours specifically match your property. Amplify enables you to monitor the success of your campaign from the comfort of your lounge. The easy-to-use online dashboard updates hourly, providing you with detailed insights into the performance of your campaign, including how potential buyers are reacting. The advanced technology of Amplify, plus the experience and knowledge of your local Raine and Horne agent, ensures the very best in real estate marketing, putting your property in front of the right people and ahead of the competition. Attract more buyers, get more exposure for your property, and get better results with Amplify, exclusive to Raine and Horne. Contact your local agent today or visit rh.com.au.